Well, hey guys, welcome to the studio today. We got this weird thing off of Amazon for 179 bucks. It's a Bullfighter classical electric guitar, thin body, and it's amazing. It's also really weird. Let's get to it. So this thing just arrived and it's come up to temperature and it came into tune. It took it about an hour and it's really something kind of cool. Let's give it a listen. Okay, let's talk about what this thing actually is and forget the description that you see on Amazon for this. There's almost nothing correct on the description from Amazon for this thing. Okay. It does come in two versions. There's a steel string version, and this is the nylon string version. They have that correct. It is nylon strings. It does have the proper type of classical tuning machines on it. What seems to me to be a classically spaced nut. So it's wider than you'd expect on an electric guitar. Is it as wide as some classicals I've played? I don't think so, but I'm not a real expert on them, but this is wide. The neck is chunky. It's like a big C neck on it, and it feels like you're holding like a real classical guitar style neck, but it's kind of bolt on to a telly shaped body. And you're going to see a couple weird things about how this thing works. Okay. You don't see any pickups. It's a piezo transducer underneath the saddle and an active preamp, which if you read some of the questions and answers, they claim it's passive. It's not. It does require a 9-volt battery. It does not come with a 9-volt battery. I put a 9-volt battery in. And here's where it starts getting really weird. Sometimes on a classical bridge, you'll see either exposed ball ends or strings tied, and there's like a specific knot that they use. And you can see this one is strung through. And I mentioned this was going to get weird. What is this? That's a backplate for a Strat-styled tremolo with the cutout. It is routed for a tremolo inside. As a matter of fact, I think it's routed in a lot more areas than we can even realize, because I weighed this guitar and it comes in under 6 pounds. And now, for contrast, a normal Strat style or Tele style guitar could range like 7, 8, maybe 9 pounds for a heavy one. This one's under 6. And listen. Kind of solid here. That's hollow. And as I tap around on this thing, it seems to me to be like hollowed out underneath a veneer. It's almost like they routed out a lot of wood and veneered over the top of it, because it does feel fairly light. And though it's not easy to see this, if inside there, it does look like they just kind of tied a knot into the end of a classical string and fed it through the front of the guitar and just let the knot be the thing that kind of latches it in place. There's recommendations on Amazon. A lot of people say switch to like a ball end classical string, and I would probably agree with that. These are just what came from the factory. We're going to give it a listen in just a second. I recorded some stuff into Ableton, but I want to show you what it comes with. First off, a gig bag with a little pouch, and this is, I won't say paper thin, but it's like pancake thin. This is not really any kind of quality at all. I'd say this is probably, if I saw it in a music store, I wouldn't want to spend more than maybe $10 for something like this. But a bag of accessories, which I have not opened, but this is as you get it. There's a little tuner and a polished cloth, spare strings, a strap, green guitar picks, and a cable. It's got a guitar cable. So this whole pack comes with it. Okay, we got it loaded up here. This is with no effects on it. I did pick out a couple like free plug-in effects to throw on it, and we'll switch it over in a sec. Just playing a simple riff out of A minor. Then I played a melodic solo, and this is without effects. Turning on the compressor now. And turning on the reverb. It's a cool tone. Okay, here's the 3 tracks together with the effects on. And we did record like an ominous low note synth. It's the monophonic, very simple kind of synth bass line, kind of subtle. Here's everything. Now, I will mention I did kind of go up into the high notes on this. Because you're looking at a 22 fret neck with a cutaway, we can play higher notes on this than we could generally reach on a classical guitar very easily. So might as well take advantage of it. And that was an example of it. And here are my conclusions. For $179, this thing is actually really pretty good. Active piezo transducer. It's clean. It records well. It sounds nice. The tuning stability on it is, well, you have to kind of chase this a little bit. Like if you're sharp, you got to kind of back a little bit to get it to start falling below pitch. Then you can tune it up to pitch. And if you overshoot it, you got to like give it a turn and a half, or like a twist and a half to get it to start falling again. So there's, I guess, like a lot of play in the gears. But once you get it to pitch, it's pretty stable. The action is decent for a classical guitar. Classical guitars typically, to me, have a high uncomfortable action that I'm not a fan of, and this is lower than that. It does have an adjustable truss rod, which is rare to see with nylon strings. The fact that it strings from the back is like really alien to me. So I would say, yeah, ball end strings, because they don't really have a spot to tie it like a normal classical string. Volume and tone work as expected. Don't expect the tone knob actually to even really do that much, but they're pretty clean. It does work. I do like the access up to the higher frets. This just freaks me out that it's routed for a tremolo, and there's no tremolo in this thing. It's just kind of really weird to me. And the 9-volt battery, and I guess access to the potentiometers, and I didn't really get into tearing it apart. The intonation is set for a fairly heavy-handed play. So if I compare like the 12th fret harmonic and it's in tune, and I fret something in the 12th fret, it tends to be a hint flat, but I'm holding it down kind of very mildly. If I'm pressing like I'm going through really articulating notes and I know I'm going to be using some pressure, the intonation actually comes into line like the harder you play it. Bending doesn't work as well as it does on steel string instruments. You'll do what feels like a full bend. You'll really only hear a half a bend, but that's just kind of normal with nylon strings. So if this is a tone that you're looking for in your studio and you're eyeballing nylon string acoustic guitars, it's, that's a great way to get it. But I like that I can kind of do this, say with other people performing in here, and I don't have to isolate and mic it. I can just run a cable right into my DI box and I can record it. And it's not really going to capture up room sound for that reason. So it's just really kind of convenient. Also, I like that it's light at under 6 pounds. I like the feel of getting it close to me as being sort of pushed away by the body of an acoustic guitar. So overall, give it a thumbs up. I did this much research on the company. So Bullfighter, and you can look them up, Bullfighter, they're out of China. The main thing that they seem to be doing is like Les Paul copies, but branded Bullfighter. This is not like Chibson where, it says Gibson on it and it's from China, and they're not trying to fool anybody. They do Stratocaster copies. They do PRS copies. They even do Ovation acoustic guitar copies. And they also have a variety of things like drums and a couple guitar pedals, and kind of just an oddball little weird company. And this thing's not even listed on the Bullfighter site. This just seemed to be something that you find on Amazon, weirdly. So I'll put a link to this thing below. It's not like I'm an affiliate or I'm not taking a piece or anything. It's just, if it's something that you think will work for you, I brought it in. I'm happy with my purchase, and I hope you have the same experience if you decide to grab it. Anyway, we got a lot of work to do. Let's get to it.